Hi, I'm Stuart, and from my essay on the Bordeaux Beauty Rediscovers the Male Body, I discussed the ad campaign The Most Interesting Man in the World by Dos Equis. I'm sure many of you have heard of it or seen it or are at least familiar with it. Um, so I kind of just started off by describing it. The basic about 60-year-old man, pepper gray hair, nice suit, some sort of mysterious bar, sometimes at a poker table, but very confident and very wealthy. Were the two takeaways that I had from my analysis, I guess, of his character. And in the TV commercials, there's always that narrator who tells the tales, I guess, of this man, the most interesting man in the world. And some notes that I had about that were one, that those anecdotes always come in the third person. It's never him telling us himself that he did this or did that, because that would come across as desperate or immature or you know, not very humble, I guess, which are not qualities that we would consider to the most interesting man in the world to have. So then I kind of compared what qualifies masculinity in that example as opposed to how Bordeaux qualified masculinity with her analysis of all of those ads, including the Calvin Klein ones. So in The Most Interesting Man, uh, generally wealth, confidence, and maturity / age were the three that I took away. Whereas in Calvin Klein, it was that sex appeal or the, the young, fit male body that, invited the gaze as opposed to, as opposed to like challenged the gaze, I guess is how The Most Interesting Man puts it. In terms of differences between the two ads, the Calvin Klein models obviously rarely clothed at all, if at all. In terms of some of those ads, always showing lots of muscle, and then Most Interesting Man, full suit all the time. Well, black suit, white crisp shirt, unbuttoned. So not completely clothed, I guess, but pretty fancy attire. And so then I just kind of said how it seemed that wealth and maturity became. So we shifted away from that young sex appeal into more wealth and maturity, as represented from like the Calvin Klein models to The Most Interesting Man. So then I had a paragraph talking about potentially why this happened, why we would shift from that young sex-related view of masculinity to the more mature reason of masculinity. And a reason that I theorized may have had an influence for this was the recent economic recession. It's easy in times of excess and stability to fantasize about Calvin Klein models, but as soon as that economic stability isn't sure in your house anymore, it may be less comfortable for women to daydream and fantasize about that kind of thing. Are arguments that I brought up, and it might be in that wealth, that stability in a time of turbulence, that maturity could be values that are more sought after at that time. And so something I didn't really talk about until the end of the essay was the obvious comedic aspect of these commercials, and how the main marketing tactic is definitely one of comedy. They're trying to be funny. They're definitely hyperbolic and exaggerated. But I said that they are, they're exaggerated stigmas and stereotypes. But those stereotypes had to have come from somewhere. So clearly the writers of these commercials were exaggerating some sort of stereotypes about what they believe to be masculinity. and they exaggerated wealth as opposed to youth, or they exaggerated confidence as opposed to that subtlety or like inviting the gaze. They exaggerated maturity as opposed to doing this in the hallway. It's late, sorry. So they exaggerated these different aspects of obviously what they considered to be stereotypes of what defines masculinity, which in turn means that that's how they themselves define masculinity. So yeah, that's it.